Thank you. That's how drug dealers needs to go in. You can see our facility. You can see our facility from behind. This is 26 million square feet of cultivation facility and 70,000 square feet of production GMP facility. If I take all the biggest 10 production facilities in Canada combined, they don't have this facility to their disposal. We are right now maybe the biggest cultivator and the biggest producer worldwide. And this is a big statement, especially when we couple it with the fact that we are fully GMP and fully GAP, and that was accredited by the Israeli Ministry of Health, which has full compliance with the European Ministry of Health, EMA, the European Ministry, and full compliance with actually almost every government or every regulator worldwide. There are a couple of problems which are defining. How do I do it here? Oh, sorry. There are a couple of problems which are defining the market right now as we speak. Lack of scalability, lack of economy of scope and size and scale, okay? The market right now, bless you, the market right now is a very, very petite market. It's a local industry, it's a domestic industry, it's not a global industry, you know? Just to put it in the right scale, if you take production capacity, extraction capacity of one opiate company which holds less than 6% market share coming from Australia, they are extracting 35,000 kilograms per day of poppy seeds. That is equal to 35,000 kilograms of cannabis. Because from poppy seeds, they are extracting the opiates. From cannabis, they are extracting CBD and others. That's equal to 3 days of production in Australia of 6% of the opiate markets, equal the full capacity of 147 licensed producers in Canada, all of them combined. And the industry in Canada right now, only the industry in Canada worth more than $50 billion market cap. The opiate industry doesn't worth even 10% of that. So if someone wants to call it a bubble, nobody's going to blame him. Okay, that's a real bubble. Okay, I don't have any other words to describe it. Right now, our friends from Canada, which is one of the best places to live, I envy Canada, you know, one of the greatest countries in the world. But not for cannabis, for human beings. Okay? Cannabis needs warm, needs light, and needs dry, not humid. Canada, if you remember, is not the most dry place in the world. It's not the most warm place in the world, and it doesn't have so much light during the day. The cost of growing cannabis, gram of cannabis in Canada is almost $2 US dollars per gram. The cost of growing cannabis in Israel is 20 to 30 cents. That's a huge difference. That's called cost leadership. That means that I can sell below the production cost of my colleagues, and I'm still very profitable. Now, there are some of the Canadians which wants to take the production or the cultivation, let's call it like this, to emerging market. They take it to Africa, they take it to Uruguay, Colombia, and other places. Those are great countries, not for growing cannabis. There isn't any precedent to any controlled substance which is exported from third world countries. There are various reasons. If somebody needs to understand, you just need to read the single convention of controlled substance. And then he will understand, and it's not a very lengthy journal. He will understand that investing in those emerging markets is not the most brilliant thing that an investor can do. Okay? We are bounded to the ministries of health worldwide, which means that we have a huge competitive advantage from Israel, which is very low cost structure, but at the same time, the regulators are on the same page. There are regulators in the United States, the FDA in Europe, the TGA in Australia, Health Canada, and so on, which means that we are very well positioned in regulation-wise, and we are very low cost, like an emerging market. And this is a huge competitive advantage, okay? And when you combine it with economy of scope and scale, with 26 million square feet of agriculture facility, and a production facility that can export next year more than 300 tons, that's a huge muscle. There are a couple of other problems in the market. The market is being defined with lack of production consistency. One day, and I said it in the early morning, 95% of the companies in the space don't know how to produce a consistent product. One dose is X, the other dose is Y, the third dose is Z, and you can administrate 30 doses and you'll get 30 different products. One day it's good, one day it's bad, one day is so-so. You cannot build an industry based on something like this. The third problem, is the lack of bioavailability. People are consuming 60 grams in Canada. You know, we are consuming in Israel, the market is here for like the last 12 years. I meet a lot of department managers in oncological departments in Israel. You know what they have in mind? They have a lot of patients which are administrating chronically for those 12 years cannabis. And they are saying that they are not sleeping well because the next epidemic is going to come from here. Because there isn't any rationality to consume so many grams. Actually, with science, with basic science and good formulation, we managed at BOL Pharma to increase the bioavailability of the product from 5% to 50%. And that's for CBD. For THC, we managed to increase up to 60%. That means that with 1 or 2 grams, you can get the same efficacy that others can have with 60 grams or 80 grams. On top of the side effect profile, which we are avoiding, on top of the better therapeutic window and better efficacy, we're talking about a huge cost leadership advantage on top of the first cost leadership advantage just by having 26 million square feet of cultivation facility. Because we can use 1 gram where others need to use 10 to 20 grams. That's a huge advantage. The fourth problem is that you don't have any stability in this business. You know, I spoke with a couple of companies in the space. They managed to send from one country to the other plants, and plants don't have stability. Even if you're irradiating them, after a couple of weeks, you're starting to see an overload of microbiology. In 2 months, the product is dead. They send it from Canada to Australia, and they had to convince the pharmacist to try to sell it, although it was expired. Okay? Let's not give too much description about what was there in terms of microbiology. That's not a global industry, that's a local industry. Right now, what is being built in the United States and Canada is a local, domestic, recreational-based market, which is going to be a lot of mom-and-pop shops, niche markets, but you cannot build a global industry based on something which has 2 or 3 months stability data. We managed, because we are doing it for the last 12 years, we managed to increase the stability up to 3 years in some of the drug delivery systems, and that's another advantage which we have. So real GMP, real consistency, real economy of scale and scope, stability, strong bioavailability, better drug delivery systems. That's what distinguish BOL Pharma. And then, and that's the last piece, but the most important one, we are coupling all those advantages with one decisive advantage. We are taking each one of those products, just a second again. We're taking each one of those products into clinical trials, rigorous clinical trials. All of them are randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trials, which can go to the FDA and EMA. They are being produced under the same protocols like every other drug is produced. And I want to tell you, I have to give you the punch. So if you don't want me to lose my voice, give me the grace and then the microphone. Thank you. I think that's the most important. No, no. Who's working on the mic? Okay, I will say it without the mic. Okay. We started the clinical trial. 1 minute of your attention, please. We started the clinical trial in 2015 with autistic kids. When I supplied the first batches to Shaarei Tzedek Hospital, I thought, honestly speaking, that I'm just going to lose a lot of products that I can sell commercially. I didn't have much expectations. We did a clinical trial on 150 kids, age 5 to 17, full functioning kids, never spoke in their life, never communicated, with very bad disruptive behavioral problems. I forgot about the trial and I was doing my business development, and one day the physician at Shaarei Tzedek gave me a call. He said, I want to send you the results. I said, okay, casually. He sent me the results. 50% of the kids started to communicate. 50% out of 150 kids. Now, they are not communicating like we do, but we're talking about kids that at the age of 16 and 17 never spoke with a person, with their parents, with their siblings. That was the first time in their life they started to talk with their siblings, with their parents, and that's a revolution. When I saw kids that are starting to talk, I was shedding tears, and I'm not the only one, okay? We are conducting a lot of clinical trials. Most likely 90% of them are going to fail. But even if 2 or 3 are going to succeed, that's a big revolution. So hopefully, in 10 to 15 years, if you remember that part of the slides, we are going to have a couple of drug candidates which are going to mature. Thank you very much.